Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Mase Rinney. Find me on Twitter at CaliKing4917, and I am the co-host of the IDP Hunter podcast. My co-host, Steve Hungarter, you find him on Twitter at IDP Hunter. Steve, man, what have you been up to? What's going on?
Man, I'll tell you what, Mase. I've been playing these best ball drafts all off season. I know you've been grinding, talking rookies. We've been doing interviews, but in between there, I've been playing in these tournaments that they got on the Fast Draft site. Okay, we're doing a promo right now. Anybody can play this thing. It's a massive tournament. There's a $50,000 grand prize. We also have an IDP portion too. If you guys are hot with the IDP, Fast Drafts, 20 seconds to pick. That's the website, fastdraft.app. But for 100% first-time deposits, if you use the promo code HUNTER, you'll get a $50 promo code, and it'll match you. So Hunter's your promo code. Also on Player Profiler, if you guys want to check that out, you get $25 off. It's an all-in package. It's an exclusive all-in package if you type in the promo code HUNTER. So that's what I've been doing, Mase. You asked me, I'm telling you, I've been playing a lot of best ball. It's easy cleanup. I don't have to manage these dynasty teams. Anybody wants to go over there, talk smack with me, I'm over there over on Fast Draft, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, it is the season, man. But today we are here. We have a very special guest, Tulane defensive lineman, Aiden Huntington. What is up, Aiden? Quick question for you. Get this thing started off right. When did you start playing football? Was it like your first love of a sport? And like at what point did you actually kind of like realize that you could actually live out your dream of being an NFL player?
Right. Now, I first started when I was 5. And I think around then you kind of just get put into it. And then from there you start playing. But I don't think it probably was until it's kind of crazy. You don't think you could really go to the NFL until you have NFL attention. So, of course, that's always the goal, being good in high school, going to college, and then kind of getting your feet wet and starting to say, like, okay, when things are going to start clicking, and when things start clicking, that's when, that's kind of when everything kind of mentally is like, okay, I have a shot. I have a real chance to be getting drafted and playing in the NFL.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Like having people around you, kind of being in the spotlight, being out of the spotlight, like you're getting buzzed in the off season, and then the play happens, and then it's kind of like, what now? Like, where are you at right now?
Right. Nah. So what, as in far as, you could repeat that question?
Yeah. So like you have like spotlight on you. You have people that are like, he could do this, he could do that. You're entering the transfer portal. You got all kinds of people talking in your ear and stuff. Like, what's that like for you as a player?
Nah, for me, it's just all about football. I try to stay real grounded. I try to not get too high on myself. I try not to, become conceited or arrogant, because, that's when God will take it all away. So for me, even great seasons, poor seasons, I'm just still grateful to kind of just play football, playing collegiate football, going to college, getting a free degree, and traveling basically the country, was a blessing. So, regardless of the spotlight, regardless if, I wasn't getting attention, I was getting attention. If I wasn't a porter, if I wasn't, that stuff is kind of superficial to me, and it doesn't really move me, so it's, all in all, it's a blessing.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great answer, man. So your pro day, what was that like? Can you take us through the process of just like you waking up to the point to where you get there? And then how was it kind of like in the place where you're practicing, and now all of a sudden it's like spotlight there?
Right. Nah, pro day kind of, of course, building up to it, there was an anticipation. There was, some, like I said, anticipation of like, hey, what am I going to do? Right. But for me, for 2 months straight, I kept my routine the same. I knew on Tuesdays what I was going to go do. So really, this was another Tuesday for me. So, in Dallas, I wake up at 5:45. I'm driving to the pit. I know we got agility, we got speed work, and then we got skill work. So Tuesday was just really another day for me. But the biggest thing for me was taking it one event at a time. So focus on measurements, the warm up the bench the vert the broad the 40, and that's how I broke it all down. But all in all, it was a great day. It was a blessed day. I had I PR'd in a lot of things. You know, I surprised myself even in a lot of things. So it was a great showing.
Aiden, you're being very modest. His pro day, Mase, because I've been tracking you, buddy. He ran a 4.64 40 time, a 38-inch vertical jump, broad jump with 10 foot 6 inches, and 30 bench press reps, Mase. So this guy's all over the place. If I may, guys, I run over at the Fantasy Six Pack. I do an NFL draft guide for all rookies coming in. And Aiden, you're actually in this thing. Tell me how close I am here, okay? You stand out as an intriguing prospect, and I'm sure all the NFL coaches and scouts are looking at you right now. You actually can play every single tech position, right?
Right.
It's kind of hard to define you because you can be put inside, you can be in a 2-point stance, you can come off the edge, you can go all over, and you're incredibly fast, as we just mentioned. I have a funny story real quick. When did you start playing football?
5.
When you were 5 years old. Oh, my goodness. 5 years old. When you got to high school, right? You're over there at Mountain View High School, okay? Your football player, how tall were you? Like 6'1", 6'2" in high school?
Right.
And you wanted to run track and field. I imagine all the faces of everybody when you went out there. They probably thought you wanted to play shot put or something.
Right.
But you actually ran track and field, and you were on the relay team. You ran 11.4 in front of a whole crowd. So I'm sure that shocked a whole lot of people. I was just wondering, maybe you can walk me through that moment, or do you have a funny story there?
Right. Now, of course, so running track, it kind of, was I was kind of always cut up at 240, 250, and kind of running. It was like, yo, they looking at me like, yo, what are you about to go run? And sometimes, I would honestly just lie to them. I'd be like, oh, I'm like a 12.5 guy, 12.6, and I go out and smoke them, and they'll be like, yo, you was lying. And I enjoyed running track. It kind of, I'm a natural competitor anyway, right? And the best feeling is, because there's two sides of track. Either you going PR and sometimes you PR and get third, or you win and you don't PR, right? So it's kind of a double-sided to it all. But running track was really a different element for me. It put me in a different element. It put me in a different type of shape. I leaned out, and then it kind of translated to kind of how I play now. It's like, yo, if I'm chasing down the quarterback, I'm picking up my knees. My stride is longer. I'm really running like a real track guy. And I think that's what actually helped me with my 40 being it's not my first time running that type of, and also I ran the 60 meters in high school as well. So all those events, all those things kind of just prepared me for playing defensive line and going out there and having to run 240s for the rest of my career.
You actually were one of the top prospects in the country. And I wanted to ask you a follow-up question to that. When you were at ULM, you racked up 63 tackles, 8.5 sacks.
Right.
That puts you on a national radar. You could have went to any school. I know you had California asking for you. Duke was knocking at your door. Oklahoma. You chose Tulane. Is there a significant reason? Do you just like Louisiana? What gives? Why did you pick Tulane?
So really, for me going to Tulane, all the schools that I visited was kind of narrowed down to a lot of things. Number one, all the coaches were defensive-minded coaches, from Coach Summerall, Coach Diaz, Coach Venables, and then Coach I forgot Justin Wilcox out in at Cal. And then they also were great academic programs because I wanted to pursue my master's. So there was great academic program. And then kind of the next step, they all had great opportunities for me, from Duke, Cal, Tulane, and Oklahoma. So then it's like, okay, all these places have great things. So then I start chopping it down. Okay, who am I going to play with? What type of development am I going to get? How am I going to be utilized? So really, Tulane laid out all those things, from a great education. Who I was playing with, I was going to get to play with another top guy, Pat Jenkins. They was going to use me in a similar role as they used Javon Solomon in. So for me, it was, hey, this is where I want to be. I know I could excel. And also, I'm just not going to a team where I may be the best one. I'm going to have to work. I'm going to have to prove every day like I am who I say I am. And I think, going there, it challenged me, but it also, it sharpened me. So it was a blessing being there.
Yeah, I got one more in this category, and I'll kick it back to Mase. So you end up going to Tulane, and you get 4 sacks, 19 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles, just punching the ball out, right? Mm-hmm. We have a lot of good tape on you, and I know we're gonna walk through that, and I'd love to hear your experiences, being on the field. But what is one thing, in your opinion, that doesn't show up on film that you'd want a scout or a fan or an NFL team to know about you? Right.
Now, I think for myself, of course, my athleticism stands out on tape, but I just say my mind, how I view the game. If anybody watches and sees pre-snap or watches and sees, if I'm in my stance, I'm kind of crawling. I'm trying to look through. I'm looking at the back, set the tight end. So a lot of it for me is really sometimes on paper, I may have an MA, but I just knew what was coming. And sometimes I had to take that risk and I had to make that play. And, I'm willing to take that chance. Football is a game of chances. And, I got to make that play. Sometimes I just have a great feeling. God gives me good discernment to see what's going to happen. So I just take it and run with it. So I think that's what's seen about me, because not just I'm just taking a risk, but it's a calculated risk from me watching film throughout the week, me watching the back sets. And I may get 2 plays in the first quarter. They may not run it again. And then the third quarter may come and I recognize it and I'm able to take that chance.
That's pretty awesome. So my 2 favorite parts about your game is how when you're starting outside, you twist inside, and it's just like one of the craziest pass rushes I've ever seen. It's great. And then when you start inside and go outside, when the other offensive team tries to pull the tight end or something, you stay there. You're chopping your feet. You're ready to go, and wherever that guy breaks, you're going, and you're taking whoever gets in your way with you. So That's awesome. You can play anywhere on the line. Is there a favorite place you have on the line?
Man, I really just like playing football. I really don't care. Really, if you think about it, 1 technique is the same as 3 technique. 3 technique is the same as 5 technique. It's just who you're going against. But you could run and you could do any move from any position. It's kind of only thing that kind of varies is the steps. The closer you are to the center, maybe 1 step. The closer you are to the guard, maybe 1.5. And if you're at the tackle, maybe 3 to 4 steps. So it's kind of knowing where you're at on the field and kind of knowing what move you're going to throw and who I'm going against.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think makes you stand out against other defensive linemen that are in your draft class?
Man, I just think I don't know how many guys in my class could say they have a sack at almost every position on the D line. I don't think there's many guys that could say that, they're true. They were put in an adverse situation and still thrive. I'm a 285-pound defensive tackle, and in this season I was put at outside linebacker and was asked to rush outside and cover, and I still was all conference. I still had numerous accolades and still had some success while taking a step back in my role, but I still was rushing 20%, 18 pressure rate. That's up there with the top guys, ND tackles and outside linebackers. And if we want to go to 2023, I led almost every defensive tackle category in the nation up there. Drazon Newton was up there. You had Brian Murphy. You had, you just had a bunch of guys. And I really felt like if you look at 23 to 24, I'm at the top with guys in defensive tackles, and 24 I'm up with guys at outside linebackers. So it's kind of, you could put me wherever and I feel like I'm gonna thrive.
Yeah. What's your dream play scenario? Let's say you're playing edge, right? Right outside of the line. Would you rather step out in space and get an interception and take it to the house? Or are you trying to cut inside and hit that quarterback and get a strip sack?
Nah, I never had a pick 6 before, but there's no better feeling, in my opinion, than a strip sack. I think that's one of those feelings where, you rushing and you come clean, and it's like, man, God, I hope you don't throw this football. I hope you don't throw it. And then, sometimes they'll crack, they open that shoulder, and you like, I got him. And then you hit them and that ball comes out, and that's just a feeling that's, that's unexplainable just how it feels.
You hear the crowd behind you and stuff, and you just kind of know.
Yeah, just knowing. I just say knowing because you feel the ball. Sometimes you feel them, just the, kind of their presence leave their body, and you like, oh, I got one. I got a strip sack. And it's crazy because I had a strip sack this past season against Temple, and I hit him. I didn't even know the ball was out. And it was crazy because then the ball was really between my legs, and I didn't know. I didn't even know I hit him, and the ball came out. And then Temple actually recovered it, but I honestly didn't even know where the ball was at. I just hit him.
Yeah, I mean, you did your job to the fullest, man. That's all you can do, right? So every defensive, or I guess every player in general has a play that really sticks with them. Do you have one?
Yeah, I'd have to say that sack from Southern Miss. I'd have to say just, my coach always told me you got to play with reckless abandon, and I feel like in that play, me coming off the edge, me chasing them down from one hash to really the numbers, and then the way I dove and extended. Let me see if I can find it. I really have a picture because I really dove out and sacked them, and that was my favorite play because I was like, yo, I put everything on the line to go sack them. I really extended all the way out, and let me see. I don't know if y'all can see this. It's just like,
oh yeah, dude, that's a poster right there, man.
So jeez.
So that's like my favorite. I was like, he may get away, but I'm not going to let him. I'd have to say that play, or even just I had to say maybe the TFL from Army. The first game of the year. It was a crazy play. I slanted outside. I got hit by one guy, and then I kind of just fell inside. I just started maneuvering, and then I got hit by 3-4 guys, and I was like, man, I somehow found a way through, and I tackled the quarterback. But I think that just displayed great, really contact balance and strength. Not just as many guys in that position, they're going to get washed, they're going to fall, but I was able to withstand the contact from 3 to 4 different guys and still make the TFL.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, just for my own personal interest, I actually watched Army, a lot of Army vet as a Steve. So what was your guys' like plan against Army? Because I know they run kind of a wonky formation set based on everyone else. So what was like the main coaching points then?
Be disciplined. It was really do your job. I think when you play a team like Army, you can't go out there trying to do someone else's job, because then if you got the pitch and you try to tackle a quarterback, he pitch it, they score. So, really Army is a do your job type of game. Unfortunately we didn't have much success. I'm 1-1 against Army. So the first year something worked, the second year, unfortunately, something didn't go right, unfortunately. But it's still, it was still a fun game to play. Just that's what real football is, that physicality.
Yep.
Knowing that they're gonna run the ball 100% of the time, and you got to stop them. And that's why I really like that play, because it was the fourth quarter, the game was on the line, and I had to make a play, and I feel like I made that play.
That's awesome, dude. Rising to the occasion, right?
Right.
So your first step in hand technique or everything, how do you approach refining your process? Do you have like a go-to move? Do you prefer if a lineman like hits you high or lower, you're like, oh, I got this guy now?
Right. I think naturally guys are going to punch lower. I'm a shorter defensive lineman.
For a sack.
Most offensive linemen, they're going to shoot low. Their hands may naturally shoot high, but they're going to have to shoot lower towards me. Really, I kind of mix it up. My favorite move is the cross chop. Excuse me. But sometimes I set it up with the bull. I remember in 2023, I was playing a guy against Georgia Southern. My bull rushed him. My other guy got a sack. And then the next drive, I was like, oh, I'm about to get a sack right here. And then when I threw the jab, it looked like the bull rush, and I was able to throw the cross chop and get the sack. But most of the guys, kind of how I refine my moves is, you just gotta be great at that one move. I think what was it? Bruce Lee said, the man that practices 1,000 kicks one time isn't feared. It's the man that practices one kick 1,000 times. So it's me practicing that one move, repetition after repetition. And then now, like for me, I don't even have to think about some of the moves I do. It's kind of just feel, you know, I if I could tell, okay, and it's a split second reaction, you know, just anticipating like he may do this, and then I have to be able to get his hands off me with a quick swipe. I may have to get him off me. He may seem a little soft, and let me bull him. He seems aggressive. Let me throw a jab, cross chop, and just go from there.
You mentioned Bruce Lee. We do a lot of drafts. You heard me talk about draft, rookie profiles, everything like that. Mase has an expression he always uses. Do you remember what it is?
Stay like water.
Yeah, stay like water and move with the draft. I wanted to say to the audience, because we're on YouTube right now, Spotify, welcome in. We're also going to be on Apple Podcasts tomorrow, iHeartRadio. They can't see our screen, Aiden. YouTube can, so they're going to have to come over and see a screen. We're pulling up some of your film, some of your tape. I was wondering maybe Mase will kind of walk you through some of these. Maybe you can explain what you got.
Right.
One thing that jumps out to me, we're playing charades, if I was explaining one word, disruptor. You think is that a good, sound, strong word? You're a disruptor, man.
Yes.
Speed, strength, you got it all. You're the total package. But disrupting the plays, and this is something tangible. I don't think you can coach that, at any playing field. But yeah, you have a lot of great film here. I was wondering maybe Mase, if you guys we can kind of walk through that and talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, for sure. Controlled violence, man, is literally what I call it. It's awesome. You know exactly when to turn it off, turn it on. And the most impressive point, I think, is your IQ as well. So,
right.
Yeah, go ahead and walk us through this one.
Nah, so this play, it's crazy because if you go to the beginning, it was actually a corner blitz. And I'm actually not supposed to do this. This is what I was telling you. I just have a natural feel sometimes. So I was really, if you go back to the beginning again, I could kind of walk through the set and just pause it.
Because they're throwing a fake screen left, and then they're trying to hit a tight end.
Yeah, even with this formation, the offensive line is blocking down, and I'm really supposed to get in the B gap or really in this C gap. But I really was like, I'm not going to allow myself to get blocked. So I stopped on a dime, and I kind of swam back outside. And that's kind of where because if I just, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can't be, don't be handicapped by the playbook. So this was one of those plays where I was like, I just was feeling it. And sometimes you got to feel it. And you got to make the play.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a killer play, man. He disrupted the entire thing.
Yeah.
He couldn't have thrown left.
I wasn't even supposed to, like, if you see that angle, I wasn't even supposed to come. Boom. I was supposed to go to the B gap.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about that one. So split second decision, I had to just play my odds. I played my odds.
Was there something you seen there? Like, did you see quarterback's eyes or like?
Well, it's really funny. Well, pre-snap for me is I go running back, tight end, O-line, right? I gotta know where the running back is because most teams are zone. Tight end will tell me if it's split zone, if they're gonna run, really kind of what type of zone it is, inside zone. And then O-line, because O-linemen, they're either gonna look down, they're gonna look straight, or they're gonna look at you. So this time I was like, he's not looking at me, he's looking down. They're looking down. So I was like, you just gotta hit it, Aiden. You gotta go. And I was anticipating it. And like I said, on that play, they snapped it, and I had a good first step. I stepped down, and then when I was feeling it, I realized they just kept going. And as they kept going, I said, I gotta stop. I planted my foot, and I came back outside.
Yeah, they look like that tight end made a decision to be like, maybe I'll hold him, maybe not.
Right.
Okay, let's get out of the way here. Because you were definitely moving on that one, man.
Right.
That's some good tape right there.
Awesome play. Especially off a sense of feeling, too. You just became determined and put it in your hands, man, and came out on top.
Right.
Speaking of communication on the line, do you have a certain way that you communicate with your co-linemen? Do the linebackers do most of the talking in the defense?
2023, I had great communication with my guy, Kennard Snyder. Really for us, it was, hey, you going lower, I'm going high. Because, we can't both go high. So a lot of the times it was basically kind of off a feel. This past season, the communication was kind of there in a sense, but as in, we were allowed to call our own stunts sometimes. But really, for me, my thing is like, yo, you sometimes gotta just play off of each other naturally. Like, it's hard to tell my guy to bull rush if he's not getting a bull rush look, right? And it's hard for me to tell him I'm gonna do this if I'm not. That's why it's like, yo, we have to be able to have that relationship and muscle memory to be like, oh, I see this inside move, I'm just gonna take it, and he just covers me, right? I can feel him going high naturally, and I just wrap up under. So it's a lot of just feel, and that's how I play. I play just off of really feel and instinct, right? Because you can't put somebody into a box and say, just do this.
Yeah,
right.
Because then it handicaps the player, and then it doesn't allow, like you said, be like water. Sometimes the water always finds its source, and I feel like I'm gonna find the source to that quarterback if I'm just allowed to just be free.
That was a cold quote, man. I like that. All right, so you want to walk us through this play real quick?
Right, yeah, of course. So this play, and this is one of the plays where I'm really not supposed to do this either. This is but it's all really how you get off the ball, and this is similar to another play from this past season. For me, this is our big package. You pause it, and I'm like, and knowing like, yo, I gotta go, right? They block down. You're really supposed to spill the ball, and then 6 is supposed to kind of go, but I'm like, yo, I gotta go. So if I just, and like I said, and that's the track in me, get off the ball, because a tight end has to block me, right? I don't block myself. He whiffed, and I got the TFL. So for me, it's getting off the ball, and even just the awareness to kind of in my own body to give him a little shoulder dip to reduce surface, and then still make the TFL and that's kind of the feel. Like, I didn't know he was there, but I felt him and was able to and give him a dip. Because sometimes even with down blocks, you gotta press the hip and spit and spill, but it's like, I gotta make the play, and then sometimes, and even in this look, it was, I knew it was split zone, back to me, tight end away. This is 100% split zone look for Troy at this time. So I was like, I can't go wrong, and then even sometimes, and if you think about it too, if the tight end hit me, most of the times it'll cause a running back to stop his feet, and then it would have been a disruptive play anyway. So
yeah,
I wonder, working with Coach Summerall and him not really, like we said, Bruce Lee move like water, right. Not having a defined, you can't define me, what tech position, whatever. You just playing like that. That's just that instinct just comes out. That muscle memory comes out. I wonder, would you describe that in your own words? Is that kind of like you're just a football player that can
right.
penetrate and disrupt?
Right. I don't know. Now, of course, first thing, I am coachable, right? And I am, and the biggest thing is, even at ULM, my coach was like, yo, if you're going to do it, you have to make the play. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to make the play. If not, he always told us, if you don't, you're going to be sitting next to me. So for me, it was like understanding, like, okay, if I take this chance, I have to be 100. It's not 50s, 70. It has to be 100. And then I had a lot of faith in what I watched. I had a lot of belief in what I was seeing at the time as well, to be able to have some freedoms and do some stuff like that. And even when I got to Tulane, we were a lot more structured. I was able to kind of do some things not my way, but to because it's like at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not going to allow him to block me. I'm not going to allow him to say he got me. So sometimes I just had to do some things, and just do that. And this is the same play, and it's crazy and this is what I talk about, knowing personnel, knowing the fit. It's like back to me. I'm thinking they're going down, then I look back, then I look at the tight end, and if you look at the tight end or the Y that came back, he's looking back. You're not running a route looking back at us. And then 77, he's looking down the line. So for for me, I was like, and this is a similar play Max Crosby hits all the time. I'm like, Aiden, you gotta hit it, and then that's the same, the same kind of dip move or reduced surface move, because you kind of want to appear like you're going at him, but at the last second you gotta I'm closing the gap. He sees me, he's trying to kick me out, but then you
got that lean
surface and you're able to get in there.
And then look at that breakdown, dude. Yeah, perfect breakdown there too. Nice wrap, bring him down.
Yeah.
Once you get your hands on someone, man, not many of them get away from what I've seen.
Right.
Which is cool because you weren't really tested a lot in coverage, but just based on, if you just looked at a piece of paper and saw your testing scores from your pro day, you'd probably think, obviously, you're pretty athletic. So I have to think that would probably be a point of emphasis for an NFL team to put you out there in space and kind of see what you can do. And I feel like you might excel there, man. What do you think?
Right. Nah, and it's crazy because, I never got tested in coverage this season, even though that's not something I was particularly versed in. I was a third down, I'm rushing. That's me.
For sure.
They put me in coverage just to keep the integrity of the defense intact. But it was like, when I was out there, nobody was catching a flat. No one was catching a sail route over top. No one was hitting me with the corner route. So all of that stuff is kind of, I can do it, right? But it's like, as a coach, you want me rushing or you want me dropping. So it's kind of one of those things as well.
Pick your poison.
Right.
Here's a good play right here. I kind of interested in what your thoughts are here.
Now, so this play, this is kind of, it's funny because it's really it's kind of like a bastardized front in a sense where 12 is normally the end. We move them off the ball, and it's kind of like we going in our speed package in a sense. Forget the play, but I know I have to slant to the A gap. If you go back to the beginning, kind of for me, I got to slant to my near A gap, and this is where I talk about just kind of knowing and feeling. So on the snap, the center comes right at me, so I'm like, you got to give him something, you got to beat him, and I beat him, and then it's like the rules, you can't let no running back or no tight end is allowed to block you. That's just the rules. So kind of just ripping off of him, kind of leaning on him and utilizing him to kind of turn, and then kind of for me just closing on the quarterback and then getting the ball out. And like I said, that's one of those things just as a football player and as a game, and this was kind of my best game. I was already in a flow here and just kind of, when you in that flow state, it's kind of just like you just trying stuff. And, I think at this point of the game, I think I had like 1 sack, 4 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles, and this was just in the first half. So for me, I was like, okay, now I was just in that state. So I kind of gave him and if you slow it down, I was able to give him the center a quick jab move to kind of slow his feet. So I pressed him, then beat him across his face. Can't let the running back block you. And then most guys get stuck right in this position with their hips locks, but you have to be able to turn that toe and just kind of get to the quarterback. And then
I like it here. You beat 2 guys, and the quarterback is still on his first read here. Look at this. Boom.
Well, it was crazy because it wasn't like I just beat 2 guys over time. It just happened. I feel like it just happened too quick for him. It just happened too fast. And he didn't even like at this point, I feel like that was around 2 seconds. And then, my motto, I tell my corners, like, just give me 2.5, just 2.5 seconds. And, I know my corners from Tulane and ULM can vouch for that. Like, hey, I don't want you to cover more than 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, I know that running back was startled that you were back there so quick. He took the fake and was like, whoa, he just got a stance and then restance and blew right by.
How quick 45 just gets there, man. Start it over, look again. That's incredible. Boom. Incredible.
And just where you started on the line to then the other side of the center to cut back, have the bend, have the agility, and then close out the play and get that strip sack. That's nuts, man.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
So here's a question. We've seen you on all this film. We've seen you line up on the edge. We've seen you drop into 2-point stance. We've seen you loop back inside. What do you think that versatility is going to mean for you or an NFL team when you get drafted next level.
Now, I just think it just shows like I would like to say I have more value. I'm not really a 350-pound run stopper. I'm not a 245-pound edge rusher. I feel like I could really, if you want whatever coach asked me to do, I feel like I could do it and excel in it. And it's because my first college sack was at a 0 technique, and then my last college sack was at a 9 technique. So that, I guess, that could kind of show you the versatility from me getting a sack at 0, 1, 3, 2-eye, 4-eye. It's really kind of my versatility can just, I think it can also add a kind of a comfortability to a coach, just knowing like, hey, what I get with Aiden, I could really we could just throw him out there and I'm cool with knowing what he's going to do. Right. And like I said, I don't know if a lot of guys really in this defensive tackle class could do kind of what I did this past season, mid-season getting told, hey, we want you to play outside linebacker really at 285 and do that and still succeed, right? And I don't know if there's any edge rushers could go and do kind of what I did last season or 2 seasons ago and kind of play 3 technique and have that success that I had playing 3 technique. So it's kind of like I said, I could add a lot of comfortability for coaches. I could just, and I feel like I can make their job easier just knowing, hey, with me, you really get 2 to 3 guys because I could play everything.
I think it gives you more shots to get acclimated to a defense, and it kind of opens up more defensive schemes for you because you are a very coachable guy. You are insanely grounded, and it sounds like you have a ridiculous work ethic, which is awesome. So that's kind of like a dream what you want in a player, and just wrap it on a bow with the versatility, right? I think that with the NFL right now, they either want a guy that you can plug and put in one position, or you're going to have to be a guy that can literally play everything, and you can pretty much play everything in the front 7.
Right.
That's really dope. And you have an amazing IQ. So I want to ask you about want to ask you about the bowl game. What was that like? Is it different from a regular game?
I think only thing that's different is you're gonna be out there for 3, 4, 5 days, and it's just I think for that one, for me, I knew it was my last game. I wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to have fun. And honestly, I've had fun every game. Bowl game. I was blessed to be able to go to 2 bowl games and 2 conference championship games. Unfortunately, I am 0-4 in those games combined. But I think just the experience and just kind of having fun with that. Many guys can't say that, and and I had and like I said, when we played the Idaho Potato Bowl, I had a great game, and I had a great game against Florida. So I really can't complain either way. It was a blessing.
Well, I got nothing else. You got anything else, Steve?
No, I was just looking at that last play. I don't know if you want to walk us through this one, but
for sure.
I mean, all his film is screaming versatility, disruption. Look how quick he comes off. Well, heck, we got Aiden here. Let Aiden
for real, right?
So I think around this time it's crazy. Kind of like I said, I'm a natural competitor, and for me it was, me and my guy on the edge had a nice friendly competition throughout the season, like a sacks, and kind of throughout the whole game. I think for me, this was the second quarter or the first quarter, and sometimes mentally I'll be like, all right, let me stop, let me go get one, right? Let me go get one, and I kind of just. This moment was when I was like, okay, I got him. And I just threw the move and I won. I won so fast. Like I was like, it's like you almost fall. And I was like, oh, I won. Like I beat him. Like, you win too fast sometimes.
Were you expecting like resistance or at least a pair of hands or something?
Well, he shot his hands. It just was like, I just won. And this was like one of those reps that was like teach tape right on the button. Perfect punch, perfect accuracy, perfect throw. And like I said, for me, it was just kind of, and this is my favorite play because it kind of shows like, okay, I went off the edge, I went with a clean move. You see the bend, you see the burst, and then you kind of just see the hunger I play with, kind of, just like I say, like, and that track background, like, and you could really see the burst, like, with the turnover, just with me winning here, and then you just seeing it, really just me. The separation I created because I really passed my guy and then I created about 5 yards of separation within like less than a second. Then, just laying out there and getting a sack. So, this is one of my favorite plays. I really have a lot of favorite plays because I think all the plays I make are kind of they kind of show a different feat of athleticism for me. If it's strength, if it's core stability, if it's speed, if it's IQ, I think it just shows a bend. I think it just shows a lot.
The intensity from start to finish on this play, it was entirely the same and just nuts in itself.
You're not kidding, Aiden. When we in Mase, when we pull the all-22 film, it kind of gives us an idea of a profile of a player. But I think this is the most film we have watched on one of these podcasts, Mase. And every single one of these ends with Aiden doing something incredibly athletic, right? Whether it's a fumble, a sack, or getting to the running back. I mean, this is good tape, strong tape. And I know scouts are paying attention to you, and I appreciate you coming on the show. I do want to end my questions anyway. I want to end with one more question for you, not to put you on the spot, but beyond football, because we spent the last half hour talking to you about football. Beyond football, beyond pursuing a professional career, what are your aspirations in regards to life, maybe post-football, after football? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Nah, so really for me, it's that's a great question, even during football and post-football and after football, really my whole number one goal and priority is being a man after God's own heart, and that's one thing that I truly try to seek daily: true dependence, true strength, and true help from God, and having true aid from him. And just knowing like, hey, after football, I have goals and aspirations to open my own gym. I want to open my own performance facility, but I know that's way down the line. So, day by day, it's like I said, kind of, just depending on God, seeking him and allowing, his will and his glory to be shown through kind of like my feats that I'm doing. I think it's kind of, I say all the time, with God's supernatural ability, I'm a superhero. I think, and even it's uncommon, like my pro day I had, I don't think that wasn't just me, that was God. 281, jumping 38 inches, jumping a 10-6, running 4.6, and then, even the bench and stuff in the short shuttle, and then the drill work, that was something I didn't even know I had within myself. That's how I know it wasn't just me out there performing. So, even just after football, during football, whenever, I just think that's kind of my main thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to thank you, Aiden, for coming on to the show, man. It's been a delight. We were really looking forward to seeing your journey in the NFL and then throughout your life. Would you come back on the show for us after you get a big bag?
Yeah, I could come back for sure. You got to have humble beginnings. You can't forget where you came from.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, for me, I'm Mase. That's Steve. This is the IDP Hunter podcast.
Heck yeah, it is. And to quote the great Bruce Lee, and this is Aiden in a nutshell: adapt what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. And you're your own unique personality, and you're going to kill it next level. Thank you for giving me the pleasure to do this episode.
Nah, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Heck yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. We are out.
Heck yeah. See you later. Take care. Talk hard, everybody.